Welcome to the presentation on My Kind of Computer. It's created by Amy Bailey for the National American University. A few of the topics we're going to discuss on our agenda today will be market research, target customers, what's in demand for those customers, our office demographics, how we're going to expand in the future, what our recruiting model looks like, our advertising strategy, our financial recap, some of our SWOT analysis details, and then the summary and our goals. Throughout our market research, we looked at all the brands that My Kind of Computer offers. We have the TechCore 1, the 2.0, and the Ultra, your basic model, your medium, and then your premium computer. The sections that we looked after or that we focused on were innovators and the travelers. For a variety of reasons, we found that the innovators liked the kind of computer and the price points that we were offering, and the travelers liked our compact design for our laptops. And it was able to be carried on the plane, it was lightweight, and it was just useful for their environment. The cities that we focused on throughout this experiment were Toronto, Chicago, and Tokyo. We further expanded later on in the quarters, but our predominant sales were in Chicago for the innovators and also in Chicago for the travelers. So that was a good market for us, and we were highly staffed in that areas. We particularly were in the Americas as well as the APAC, which was in Tokyo, but the Americas is where we saw the most bang for our buck. Next, we're going to look at our target customers. As I had mentioned, we were looking at the innovators and the travelers as our main focus. Toronto, Chicago, Tokyo. We eventually opened up in Mexico City and Paris, and then further on you're going to see we're going to expand into Sao Paulo as well as Abu Dhabi. Just based on our computers and the types of models that we're focusing on, those are regions that our product will be successful in. What is in demand right now? If we're focusing on the innovators, or top 10 choices that they're looking for is that they can work on multiple programs. It's a leader in their technology. It's got fast processing. It's easy to tie into local networks, whether it be VPN or through an Ethernet cable. They want a high performance but a medium price point. They can handle large-scale tasks, protect against lost data with automatic saving, and just a good backup system. Secure from viruses and attacks, of course. The most amount of storage that the computer can handle, and a quick response to commands. So they're looking for a very technically advanced computer that can do a lot of multifunctioning, but for a medium price point. Whereas the travelers they had a different demand wish list. They wanted it to be small because if they are traveling like a flight attendant or a pilot or just a business person, they want it to be small in space and not heavy to carry all the time. They want to connect to the office from the road, so they're going to be using a VPN, they're going to be using Wi-Fi. They can use it in the car, it's portability, it definitely has a fast networking internet service. It's going to still protect against lost data, which is great for both sectors. The monitor is easy on the eye, so it's a larger monitor, not a small monitor, and it was a crisp, clear view. It's secure from viruses and attacks, of course. It has a decent amount of storage space, and it's recommended by others. Looking at some of our office demographics, we did have a number of staff throughout this organization and this exercise. In the Americas where predominant staff occurred, we had 12 staff members throughout Toronto, Chicago, and Mexico City. Our labor was a little high in this area for the amount of output we received, but that's something that we're going to be working on throughout the next few quarters. In Tokyo, we had 5 staff members. They were successful. They did work hard for us, and they were able to promote and meet their quotas. And then in Paris, we just had 2 staff members, and we didn't have a high success rate in Paris, but that is because we hired the staff late in the quarter and didn't really have a lot of experience behind them, so I know that number will improve as the quarters go on. If we're going to be looking at expansion, I think based on the demand potential for the sectors we're looking at, which would be the innovator and the traveler still, Abu Dhabi and Sao Paulo will be the 2 best options for us. Abu Dhabi is expected to have 2,400 units that they're looking to have over the next 12 months. And in the traveler section, about 1,400 units are looking to purchase. In Sao Paulo, there'll be just over 1,900 units they're looking in the innovator sector, and the traveler is just over 1,900. So there is a large market in these two areas for the innovator and the traveler, and it would be ideal for us to have a few staff members in those locations. As far as recruiting to staff those locations, we are looking to hire some new employees. 6 would be ideal. I think Abu Dhabi will have 3. It is a large territory and they do have a lot of demand, almost 5,000 units. Sao Paulo will stick with 2. It's got the same demographics as Paris, so we'll see if 2 will be sufficient, and if not, then we'll move on to another staff member. And I think based on the success we've had in Chicago, we should hire a new salesperson just to saturate that market a little bit and be sure that we're reaching all of our target customers and not leaving any business on the table. As far as our advertising strategy, it's very big to focus on print media, which was very successful for us, whether it be in trades magazines, travel magazines, online ads, different types of brochures, different types of Google pop-ups. Those types of advertising techniques were working for us. Naming the company first and foremost, talking about the abilities to multitask, its portability, and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the innovators and the travelers on the advertisement so it's catching their eye. Of course, you want to put the name of the company at the bottom, the name of the computer that you're advertising up top, or if you're advertising multiple computers, then that's great as well. But just making sure that you're using the buzzwords that are important for the innovators and the travelers. Some of the financial recaps. We weren't as successful as some of our competitors, but we were late in the game, just realizing our potential, getting our sales force on board, and maximizing our advertising potential to get up to the amount of units that we were forecasting to purchase. In quarter 6, there was an opportunity there to grow, do some expanding, get some more staff, get some more marketing and buzz out there for our products, and I know that we would be hitting those targets a little bit faster now that we're fully educated, our staff is on board, and we're ready to go. As we can see, the TechCore 1.0, which was the lowest model that we sell, didn't do very well in sales. People were not looking for the low-end models. They were not looking for small screens. They weren't looking for programs that couldn't be adaptable or be to the speed they're looking for. Our middle range computer, the Tech 2.1, at almost 300 units sold, was our high ticket item. It had the highest profit margin, which was very good for us, and it was exactly what the innovator and the traveler were looking for. For a bit more of the innovator side, if they wanted the Ultra, or they wanted a more high-end computer with more capacity and more space, then you see there's 196 units sold. There was a rebate placed on that as well. The margins were decent on that product, and it was a good seller for us. Moving forward, we would definitely phase out the TechCore 1.0, or if we kept it in, turn it into a desktop as opposed to a laptop computer, and maybe hit a different kind of market like people in schools or receptionists, different types of markets that might look for not as great computer, but more of a desktop application. The sales in the Americas, as we said, they were higher than other areas of the country or the world, but still very, very decent sales in both sections. Just to look at some of our strengths and weaknesses, we looked at the scorecard. Our strengths were definitely investments in the firm future, and as I had said, we really focused on hiring staff, making sure that we were well covered in the areas that had the demand that would need our product. And we spent a few quarters, maybe a few too many, focusing on our future and getting people on the ground, people selling the product, people pushing my kind of computer. And that's great, but we maybe should have focused a little bit more on some of our financial performance, some of our marketing, and how effective our marketing was, and not focus completely on our labor. Focusing on the labor early on will benefit us in the future, but you don't want to have 2 or 3 quarters or even 6 quarters being in the negative. So you need to balance it out a little bit further. Definitely our weaknesses, as I mentioned, overall performance, financial performance, we were not hitting our financial totals. We did have too much labor versus the output that we were receiving from them. The return on investment was very low. If you're paying the labor and the salary and the commissions and they're not getting any sales, then that's not a good way to do business. So it would certainly be looking at decreasing the labor earlier on and focusing on marketing and financial aspects and balancing out the labor later on in the quarters as opposed to early on as we had done. Just a few summaries and goals. As I had mentioned, you can see in the first and second quarter, there's no revenue, there's no cost of goods, nothing. But then we started to see some gains. We went 1.3 million in quarter three, 1.7, 1.8, 2.1. There was a growth in revenue. And that's what you want to see in a company. You want to see the revenue growing. You're producing the right amount of units to be sold. There's no surplus. If you're producing 10 items are going out the door, and all that is great. Where we missed out on was the labor. And unfortunately, the labor was higher than the revenues earned, showing a negative deficit for quarter six, and that's not a positive thing. So I certainly would focus a lot more on labor in quarter 2, 3, and 4. Maybe have it a little bit higher in 5 and a little bit higher in 6, as long as the revenue and the demand was there for our products, and making sure that we're really focusing on the innovator and the traveler's needs. So travelers 100% are going to need laptops because of the portability, but the innovators could probably do with 2 types of laptops and a desktop computer because their needs are different and you don't know what type of job function they have or where they're going to be using the computer. So I wouldn't market any desktop computers in the traveler sections or use any marketing funds for that, but I certainly would in the innovator section. So it's finding that balance and finding out what opportunities are there to make sure that your needs are met, your customers are happy, your revenues are increasing, and you're making a profit on your products after all of your expenses are paid out.